They were significant wins on Saturday. I imagine they were quite satisfying as well. Port Adelaide had a whole lot stacked against them and the stakes were absolute. Third quarter powerful display held off Sydney, and Geelong Tom Hawkins kicked his 700th career goal, and the Cats got the prize over in the West to move into the top four. So Ken Hinkley still has his team kicking away. Kenny, great to have you on 360 again.
Good evening, boys.
And Chris Scotts, we've got the chance to challenge once more. Hello, Chris.
Hey, guys. How are you? Hey, Ken.
G'day, Chris.
So buys are done. We settled for the back nine of the season. Just give us your overall assessment of the shape of this year and whether it feels unique.
Unique's a bit of a stretch, but it certainly feels rare to look at the ladder. I don't make a habit of trying to study the ladder at this stage of the year, but even a cursory glance leads you to believe that there's a whole lot of possibilities there. And there are some teams that I really, really rate. Port are one. The Bulldogs are probably another that sit outside the eight that you just would expect to be in there at the start of the year.
It's good for football. Do you have time to cast your mind over and go, God, this football's in a really good spot at the moment? Do you agree with that?
I do agree, and I think it has been that way for a little while. I think this sort of season's been building for a long time. Look at the teams that have been building over a 10, 15-year period, and you just think, gee, they're going to be hard to beat at some stage, and some of them have ebbed and flowed a little bit, but the consistency around the comp now is just, it's frustrating for a coach because you look at the fixture and you think, that's a hard game, that's a hard game. You know, if we don't get things right, we'll lose that one. It's really stressful, but that is good for the competition and good for the game.
What's your view, Kenny, after round 14?
Yeah, I think it's a remarkable season again, but I'm with Chris. I think the football's been building for a good period of time. The competition is even as it's ever been. You know, we're one of those teams that we expect at the start of the year to be in the finals. We had a disastrous start, fought really hard to get ourselves back in the game, and that's just exactly where it is now. There's so many teams in the game, and you know we're a part of that pack.
Talk about the pluckiness of your team. We know you're zip 5 and you won, 4 in a row, then you lost. Everyone said, oh, there you go, bye-bye Port, good comeback. And then to play Sydney at home, and they're a pretty good team, Sydney, and to knock them over. So talk about your group, but talk about what's been a trigger to turn it around from 5-zip, but then turn it around from a defeat the previous week as well.
I think, Robbo, for us, the trigger has been a little bit about getting our game style right after those first few weeks. And we had some injuries, we had some issues with what went wrong, but we then tightened up on some stuff that we know is really important. We've played some solid footy without playing some great footy. We went down to Geelong to Chris's team and got beaten badly. You know, we've been able to bounce back. Lost to Richmond at the G, but outside of that, you know, we're 6-2, I think, since that round 5 performance. We just got to keep winning, and you know, we just need to fundamentally stay in the now, and that's what we do. We're not going to get distracted, and that's what we've done from round 5. We haven't worried about what the ladder's going to look like at the end of, you know, round 16 or 17, let alone round 15. So we just got to stay in the now, and that's the only way we can maintain our focus.
You were. It was easy to admire what happened on Saturday. You were struck by misfortune before the game and within the game. Were you admiring of the group?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty brave performance considering a few things that went against. But everyone's dealt with the before the game stuff. I think, you know, with Travis and everything else with COVID protocols, you know, he's a big part of our footy team. But you know, we've been able to maintain that as a competition. Then to get a couple of injuries within the game, we weren't totally disabled. We're down one player. I always view it that the sub rule come in for that reason, to make the games more even. We didn't feel like we were that far behind as far as injuries went. We had some key personnel missing because we brought young Bryn into his first game, and Zach's been really starting to get going. So that hurts a little, but you know, we had some youth and some enthusiasm. So we had some belief about how we can play.
Everyone who watches football loves the way Zach Bowes goes about it. But I tell you what, Treacle, what a
Treacle, he'll be happy to see that.
Treacle. But what a first-up performance before he got hurt. Now, you're looking at this player going, God, how I was wrapped for him to see what he can do. We're all wrapped for first game players. How were you sitting in the box thinking, wow, have a look at this?
Yeah, it's a great result. I mean, the competition is doing some great things. And I think the mid-season draft's another example. We had, I think, 3 players out of the mid-season draft play this round. Unfortunately, 2 of them got injured. But, that's opportunity to young people to keep developing and believe in the dream and chase it. And he was exciting for us in the 40 odd minutes. He's a really exciting character. I've known him for 18 days or something. So I think there's some more excitement to come from what Bryn can do for us.
Yeah, welcome to the AFL. Here's your first surgery. What's the Butters diagnosis, Kenny?
Yeah, it's reasonably positive. We're not absolutely sure yet. I mean, the scan's been done. It seems like the minor end of medial. So hopefully, last year he did a medial similar. He was back within a week. If it's a week or two, we'll be more accurate once we gets going, in probably 6 or 7 days.
Tom Hawkins kicking the 700. So you've both got a stake in this. Kenny, you were there when he arrived. Chris he's your asset at the moment, and he seems to, he hasn't deteriorated. Sometimes I feel like he's still improving as he gets older. This is a great milestone.
Yeah, it is. I think he's improving. I think his capacity to adjust with the way the game's shifted is something that's taken a few by surprise. And I think my observation watching him early in his career when he was with Ken at Geelong was that, he was a really big lump of a kid. He's a really talented sports person, not just a footballer. Like if you watch him swing a tennis racket or a golf club, he's a technician, and he always had that. But I think he's kind of grown into his body a little bit and sort of learned how to use it over the years. And now his craft is as good as any key forward going around. He doesn't rely on his physical attributes as much. And then, you overlay the fact that he's just been such an unselfish team man. I said post-game that I don't even think the 700 goals in any way is a fair reflection of what he's been. The sum of his game is so much more than just goals.
Kenny, so you saw him walk in the door as that youngster. How have you seen his journey to 700?
I love the language that Chris just used, his craft, because we use Tom as an example of our young forwards on how to maximise your forward craft. I think Tom's one of if he's not the best forward craft player in the competition, I'm not quite sure who the other is. He's so good with his body. He came in, as you said, a big lump of a kid, and basically got some games. He was a father and somewhat a great advantage to get Tom Hawkins and come into your club. But, he's worked so hard on his game. I look at Tom and I say, where's the finish line? There just isn't one. I just don't know when it's going to be. I'm sure he's getting better. I'm absolutely sure he's getting better. He drives me crazy every time we play Geelong. And not only that, then they go and get Jeremy Cameron and sit beside him. So good luck with that.
Settle down, Kenny. Settle down. Hey, you've got a young fella at your place, Todd Marshall. I know he's very dear to you as a human being, but as a footballer, we are just watching this young man take enormous strides in his game. And no disrespect to Charlie Dixon or young Georgiades, who's making his way in the game, but Todd Marshall seems like he's a bit of a special.
Thought about Tom still. Todd's a really special person to us as a footy club. Not just his footy journey, his personal journey's been pretty challenging for him. We're so proud of him as a man and a person to come through the way he's come through. His football's starting to emerge. Again, if I do reflect back on Tom, I think about what young forwards need to do and how they became the great players that they end up becoming. I think Todd's right in the middle of learning the football craft as a key forward. He's taking more responsibility. You're right. I have absolute admiration and pride in the man and the way he's becoming a great footballer.
What's he like as a person? We see him play, Kenny. Is he a boisterous person? Is he a quiet person? Can you just give a bit of a personality trait?
Yeah, he's reasonably quiet. He's a fun young man. I tell you what he is. He's an absolute team player. And if you ask anyone in the team, do they love playing with Todd? And that's why we stuck with Todd through a bit of form that wasn't great, is that he does do everything for the team. Again, like Tom, he provides so many opportunities for other team members, and he doesn't mind if the other person takes the limelight. He's very happy to be a team player. Post-game
discussion out of Saturday was around the training loads and doubling down heading towards this phase of the season. What have you learnt to be the advantage or the necessity to do that in the middle of the year and risk right now to be where you want to be when it matters?
Yeah, I think the risk is really clear that you can flatten the boys a little bit and get a week or two of poorer performance. But We do a lot of analysis on it, and we really trust our people as well. So our football coaches have a big say in how we prepare the players through that 14-day period. But without sort of explaining exactly what we do and why we do it, we have doubled down on the fact that we think that's the best preparation to be at your best in September. And we've said quite openly, I think, over the last 6 months or even longer, that we'll prepare our players to be humming when the real stuff happens. And if it means we don't get there, for example, we're prepared to take that risk.
Does that keep evolving, Chris? Like that preparation? Like we all know, Geelong have been a fantastic football team, and you get there, and you quite haven't got to the end. Do you, very close a couple of times, do you look and say, right, we did this last year, we're going to do the same again, or do you think, right, we've got to adjust a little bit? Is that your thinking?
Yeah, have to adjust all the time. We haven't. I can't remember one year where we've thought, with the big rocks, let's just do that again. We almost go back to the start every year. And in preparation for season 22, we took that to another level. We had some new guys come in to our club. We effectively sort of said, as a bit of a thought experiment to our coaches, what if we were all new?
Yeah, you said that. Let's start at scratch.
Yeah, what if we didn't know these guys? What can Jeremy Cameron do? What can Tom Hawkins do? What's the best use of Paddy Dangerfield? And that kind of bled into how we prepare the players as well. And this was just one commonality for us that we decided we're doing it a little bit differently than we have in the past, but it's one thing we still think is a really good idea. Now, that's also balanced with the fact, and it's topical at the moment, with the fact that the players need a break. And when we send our players away, I know we'll talk about it more a little bit later, it's in the context of let off some steam, look after yourself, rest and recover, but mentally recover as well, because when you come back in, we're going to do some hard work. And it is, I've got sympathy for 21-year-olds in the AFL system these days. It's a hard existence, much harder than I think most people give it credit for.
So were you flat on the weekend? And I'm not trying to catch you out here, because I think you would be disrespectful for West Coast Eagles. They put in actually a terrific performance. I think it was their best performance of the year. And if you are going through a heavy workload, you said pre-game this might be a danger game, and actually it proved to be that. They were with you for a long, long way.
Yeah, they were good. Look, I wouldn't have said anything about it, but Joel Selwood had said something prior to my press conference, so which is his prerogative, he's captain of the team. That's fine. But I think it's in poor taste when you play poorly that you say, oh look, we're training really hard. We were probably just a bit flat. But when you win, you're a bit more open about it, probably. Yeah, West
Coast, they were pretty solid, weren't
Sorry,
they?
West Coast, we knew what we were. You just looked at their ins, and it was all. And so go through the names. Ken touched on it a little bit. I think he's probably a little hard on himself and Port early on. What we're seeing at the moment is if you take key players out of any team, it makes a massive difference. So when West Coast get their back line together with Barras, McGovern got injured, but he was still there for a bit of it. Yo played back, Hearn, they walk into any team, I think. Their front end's Darling, Kennedy, Rioli, then Stewart. It's really quickly we're like, no, this is going to be different to the West Coast of the first half of the season.
So big games to come, which we'll get to in a moment. Ken, I just did want to ask you, were you, I know we tend not to do this, were you at all disappointed with Peter Laddams as someone that you know really well and who knows your teammates really well? He's lucky to get a week, I think, for the punch that he ended up throwing and just how it seemed to get to him.
Yeah, I look disappointed. It's not my place now for Pete, but the reality is I can understand the emotion of playing against your previous team and the way the game was rolling for him. But I think he's a young, really talented young ruckman who look, he got it wrong on the day. I'm sure John will take care of that from now. But no, I don't find it disappointing. I understand the emotion of this game more than probably most, I think, and it can make you do some strange things sometimes. That includes coaches and players.
We might pick up on that in a moment's time. Our coaches in place, Ken Hinkley
Good stuff.
and Chris Scott.